Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the Mark and Me podcast. As always, I'm your host Mark, and well, today I'm on my own again. Yes, it's just me. Now, Stuart, it's no secret, is taking some time out from podcasting at the moment. He's not even doing his New Generation Wrestling podcast at the moment. He's taking complete time out from podcasting altogether. So I've taken on the decision to go solo at the moment. It's a bit of that take that moment, you know, when Robbie left, but a bit different in podcasting terms. But basically, I've come to the decision that I didn't want to delay any episodes for you guys. I've had so many offers coming through of people to speak to that would have been a dream to get to interview, and I didn't want to delay these interviews any further. The last thing I want is you guys that are listeners tuning in, getting episodes, and then waiting 3 or 4 months for the next one. So at this point, I have some really good guests for you all to listen to, and I really hope you stick around. So it really is actually just Mark and me from now on. I can't say what the future's going to hold at this point. I might decide to get another co-host, I really don't know. But as it stands, you've got me, we've got some great episodes coming up, and on today's episode I'm really glad I get to speak to the incredible Lloyd Kaufman. Now, some of you might be sitting there thinking, who the hell is Lloyd Kaufman? He's the president of Troma Films, a company that have distributed over 1,000 films. Lloyd has a career as a director in producing some of the classics within this company, such as Class of Newcomb High, Combat Shock, Troma's War, Poltergeist, Night of the Chicken Dead, and one of the most established films that came from him, which has a huge following across the world, is The Toxic Avenger. I really do urge any of you that are listening to this podcast to check that film out. It's absolutely fantastic. There's a film at the moment that Troma are distributing called Essex Space Bin, and this film's actually going to be showing in London at the Prince Charles Cinema on the 18th of February, so I urge you if you can to go along. And he'll actually be there as well doing a Q&A, a signing, a talk. I urge you, please go and see this guy because he absolutely blew my mind when I got to speak to him. Now, not many people realise, but James Gunn was actually the assistant of Lloyd Kaufman, which is huge. James has actually released a book as well on all of the time he spent with Lloyd, how he learnt how to direct, how to film, and has gone on record to say he learnt everything from this man. Now, coming up on this interview with Lloyd, we talk all about the business. We talk about what got him into the business, how he finds it nowadays, and how he spends his spare time. We talk about the successes, the downfalls, pretty much everything we can cover in half an hour. So without further ado, here is my interview with Lloyd Kaufman. I hope you enjoy.
Is it Mark Woodyat there?
That's me, Mark Woodyat.
Wow. Well, what a great honor to be speaking with you. And I know that it's probably a very unearthly hour for you.
It's not too bad. It's 8 o'clock at night, so it's not too bad.
Oh, that's a very good hour for you. I take it all back.
Okay, so the first question I've got for you today is, which directors influenced you the most when you were growing up?
I would suggest that when I was growing up, I was not into movies. My folks were not that interested. They took me to see a lot of Broadway shows, so I was mesmerized by the pulleys and curtains and the magic of live theater. Rodgers and Hammerstein, Rodgers and Hart, Abbott and Costello, Nixon and Eisenhower, all the great vaudeville people. Then I discovered when I was at Yale University, my roommate was a movie nut, and he ran the Yale Film Society, and I started drifting in to watch movies. But by that time, my sad personality had already been formed. But the Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, Fritz Lang, John Ford, Samuel Fuller, Jean Renoir. But getting back to me, of course, the most important part of my life is the great auteur filmmakers. And remember, I discovered film as an avocation in 1960s. So people like Scorsese and Coppola and Tarantino, and they weren't around in those days. So I fed off the great auteur, Leni Riefenstahl, Samuel Fuller, Joseph H. Lewis.
Great names. So who was it for you? Who is the man that gave you the visual style? Who's the most impressive for you?
Well, that's you're one of the first people to have ever used the words visual style and Lloyd Kaufman together in the same sentence. Thank you for that. I think whatever I've done, Michael Hers and I directed 20 movies together. So clearly, and he would handle the actors, and he probably was a big influence. Stan Brakhage is a big influence. Warhol, if you notice the Troma movies, we do a lot of breaking the fourth wall, and nobody was better at that than Bertolt Brecht and Andy Warhol. I mean, Bertolt Brecht didn't make movies, but he did write some pretty goddamn good plays. And Warhol was the best of all time at having actors talk to the camera and all that. So I think it's a lot of movie makers, and I go through phases. The first Toxic Avenger, there's a lot of Preston. I mean, you may not see it, but there's Chaplin and City Lights and Preston Sturgis and Frankenstein. And then the second and third Toxic Avenger, I think there's a lot more Buster Keaton and Samuel Fuller and a little bit of Peckinpah, stuff like that. I can't really pin it down. I remember the moment when I decided that I would make movies, and that was at the Yale University Film Society was showing Ernst Lubitsch's To Be or Not to Be, and which was later, of course, remade by Mel Brooks. But the original was directed by Lubitsch and featured Jack Benny and Carole Lombard, Robert Stack, and so if you want to blame somebody for Troma, it's you can go to the graves of Lubitsch, Carole Lombard, and Jack Benny and take a big piss on them.
Obviously, you're not just famous for being behind the camera. A lot of people don't know, but you're actually in the original Rocky movie.
Yes, drunk or sober, I'm a narcissist, and as ugly and unpleasant as I am, I love nothing better than to see myself on a giant movie screen, and I managed to force my protege, James Gunn, to put me into Guardians of the Galaxy. And there's a movie out now that our fans say is actually very good. Nobody's seen it, but it's called The Cell. It's a Stephen King movie, The Cell,
I've seen it.
Cell. It's with John Cusack. How do you like it?
I enjoyed it. It didn't really take off. It didn't sell many copies, and it didn't do very well at the box office. But I think that John Cusack was very strong in it. Was it Samuel L. Jackson's in it?
Yes, we discovered him, of course. He's in it. And, of course, I'm in it. I have an amazing scene in the airport with John Cusack. He'll never forget it. I know that. And it's apparently a very underrated movie. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I did, yeah. I love Stephen King, and I think it's a good one.
You made a jeu de mots, Mark. You made a jeu de mots. You said The Cell didn't sell well. So
nice.
Very good. Very good. Very good.
So you just mentioned there James Gunn, obviously, for Guardians of the Galaxy, putting you in as a
James Gunn is in London right now. He's recording at Abbey Studios. He's remaking Romeo and Juliet at this very minute. No, just joking. He's recording the music for the Volume 2 of Guardians of the Galaxy.
I'm pretty excited for that film, to say the least.
He's very excited about recording music where the Beatles did their music. Of course, for me, when you say Abbey, for me, it's the Abbey Players, the greatest theater company in the world, the Abbey Players, which is in Ireland. It's not Abbey Studios. Abbey Road is important, in my opinion, secondary to the Abbey Player. The Abbey at Cluny is also a very interesting story. My good friend Terry Jones of Monty Python lectures on the Abbey Cluny. And, of course, Abbey and Costello was a great comedy team, as you know.
It's all about Abbey.
Well, yes, Dear Abby, too. We used to have a syndicated advice columnist named Dear Abby.
So talking about Guardians of the Galaxy, obviously James Gunn has said on record that he learned everything from you. He's even brought a book out talking about how all the influence you had on him.
Yes, he still talks that way, too. He still says that he channels me when he's, even though he's on a $200 million movie, he told the cast and crew when he made a little speech that he still channels me.
That must be quite a pat on the back.
I'd like a lot more, to tell you the truth.
In what way?
In what way? Get Essex space spin on British television.
Yeah.
You can do that. You can do it. You're Skip to the End podcast. One word to you, and BBC will play it, right?
that's the hope.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for being interested, and it's a wonderful film. And these guys shot it on 35 millimeter, and they are very serious movie makers.
With the Guardians of the Galaxy, do you believe that's the sort of film you would make if you had 200 million to spend on a film, a massive unlimited budget? Is that the sort of thing you envision, or are you completely different to James?
That is a very good question. I think if I had $200 million to make a movie, I would make probably 200 movies, and I would make 2 of them for $1 million each, and then 198 movies, I would have people like you make them. Young, exciting, new talent. They want to make one-of-a-kind movies. And if there was a young James Gunn out there, I would give him the $1 million. I don't particularly care for the concept of making a movie for putting $200 million of the Earth's resources into one luxury item, while the New York Times and the London Times have giant front-page photographs of babies with their heads chopped off in Aleppo or Boko Haram, the wonderful continent of Africa, where women are being carved up in their genitalia. While that goes on, I don't see spending $200 million on anything other than health of the poor people around the world. I don't see why movies have to cost so much, and I don't think anybody should be making $20 million on anything. People shouldn't be making $20 million a year. They shouldn't be making 20 million pounds a year. 2 million is enough, and the rest they should give back to me. I mean, no, not to me, to the. They should be able to earmark it back corrupt charity they want to give it to. I'm not cynical or bitter, am I?
I was going to say, you don't sound bitter at all. I led up to this interview this week. I took some time out. I've got my Blu-rays. I've got The Toxic Avenger. I've got Poltergeist. I watched them again, and I thought to myself, does this guy have a secret time machine that can predict the future? Because when I watched The Toxic Avenger, it literally said to me that there was an obsession with fitness. Hunter S. Thompson called it the body Nazis. Poltergeist is all about fast food and the media and the way it all goes about. You are so far ahead of your time when you brought these films out. It's actually quite scary.
Well, again, thank you for recognizing that. If you might have noticed that up until for our first 40 years, our company mission statement, movies of the future. And indeed, the boys who made Deadpool, they're huge Troma fans. We made Toxic Avenger 30 years ago. Deadpool's got a disfigured guy. It's got a blind woman. It's got a good script. Well, wait a minute. That's where they differ. But the point is, we have a huge imprint on a giant footprint on the cultural countryside. But unfortunately, we're sucking hind tit because we are truly independent. But it's very satisfying to see South Park, which clearly is Troma fueled, and it's very encouraging to see how much of our influence has been integrated into the world of moving images. In fact, Donald Trump is a pretty good Troma character. I think he based his whole personality on Mayor Bellgoody in Toxic Avenger. By the way, do you ever read Do you know Mad Magazine?
I haven't read it myself,
Mad Magazine? No. It's the American Punch magazine. Not nearly as funny as Punch, but it's pretty good. The latest issue had a full-page poster of Donald Trump as the Toxic Avenger, but it was very derogatory. But they used that iconic poster of Toxic Avenger with the mop and first superhero from the, he was 90-pound weakling until he became, they used that iconic poster, but they put Trump in there instead. And instead of holding a mop, they had Trump holding an eagle, kind of with his fingers around the neck of the eagle, kind of strangling the American eagle, which was offensive both to Trump and to the Toxic Avenger. But what the hell, all publicity is useful, especially to an old broken down 71-year-old filmmaker who's just waiting to die.
That's how do I follow up on that?
Well, Essex Spaceman. Back to Essex Spaceman, the greatest movie that's ever been written. David Hollingshead and Philip Thompson. Amazing. It's an amazing movie. Have you had a chance to see it?
I haven't, but I've just been sent the screener, so I'm going to get a chance to see it this week.
I think you'll like it. They're big Troma fans, but this is very different from Troma. I think this is closer to Surf Nazis Must Die. The film revolves around a kind of a very unlikely hero, and I think it's a very courageous movie in that regard. Instead of putting in Emma Stone or somebody like that, they put in a fat, mentally ill, toothless, middle-aged woman which is, I think, very brave. How did this start, this Essex Space Bin? Well, I think you have to talk to them about it, because we had nothing to do with making the movie. But they are big Troma fans, and lucky us, we got the distribution rights. It's a totally original, one-of-a-kind movie, and that's what Troma is all about. We give opportunities to new, brilliant, one-of-a-kind people who may be ahead of their time. That's why we're still here after 43 years. Troma's the breeding ground for new, brave, original talent. So when do I get my check in the post? No problem. It's already there. You were just talking then about Donald Trump and the Toxic Avenger. I'm going to ask you a random question now, but it's been playing on my mind. The type of storytelling you say of good versus evil, the larger-than-life characters, even the name, are you influenced by wrestling at all? Because the Toxic Avenger should be a WWE wrestler. I'm not influenced. No, I'm totally. I know that our fans and the WWE or whatever it is, they intersect, and a lot of our fans are wrestlers and wrestling fans. And the Toxic Avenger people have licensed the Toxic Avenger to wrestle, and there have been. Toxie has wrestled. He did it in Florida. He's done it in a few places. You're right. The Toxic Avenger is a great wrestling character, but we don't know anything about wrestling. But you said that there's actual wrestlers that are in the WWE that are fans of your work. Oh yeah, Dolph Ziggler is a big fan. Wow, that's a hell of a compliment. Do you know him? Oh, Dolph Ziggler's he's awesome. Yeah, he did. He interviewed me at the Comic-Con one year. He did some on-camera, streaming stuff, and interviewed me. And suddenly, I got a lot of Twitter followers as a result of that. That's pretty cool. Yeah, he's very cool. If we were to make Toxic Avenger 5, and we've written the script, but we don't have enough money, we'd cast him, and he was very happy about that. So at one point we thought we had a Ukrainian oligarch billionaire to help us out, but then when the Russians invaded, he disappeared. So, but at that point, Ziegler was going to be in that movie. He was very excited about it. But now, unfortunately, we don't have enough money to make Toxic Avenger Part 5, which we were going to shoot in Chernobyl, partly in Chernobyl. And if there are any skip to the end rich people who want to lose some money, we are ready to produce Toxic Avenger Part 5. I'm really hoping there's a really wealthy listener now with billions and billions of pounds who's saying, I want to see Dolph Ziggler in that film, here's £1 billion. That would be great. So meanwhile, we're going to do The Tempest next. It's 20 years since Romeo and Juliet, so we're going back to The Bard, and we will deal with The Tempest next. That's good. That's really cool. So that's the next big one for you. Well, it's again, none of our films is big, but it's the one we are going to turn our attention to next. I watched Return to Newcombe High last night, and I forgot completely that Lemmy from Motorhead's in there playing the president. He is. And he says
fucking students, they don't write blogs anymore, they just like to fuck. Is that coming straight from your heart? Is that your thoughts? Is that you talking?
Yes, they don't know how to read or write. They basically, they're social justice warriors. At least the ones at Yale and Princeton, and I don't know how it is at Cambridge or Oxford. Although I gave a master class at St. Hilda's at Oxford, a 2-day master class, and those people didn't seem like snowflakes. But here, the students are so upset about the Donald Trump, they had to cancel exams, and we need safe spaces now. We have things called trigger warnings. So Volume 2, called Return to Newcomb High. The second half of that movie is finished. We just completed it, and we're now looking for British distribution on that one. Warning, people may need safe spaces. They see that movie.
You seem to have quite a lot going on, and you just said you're in your 70s now. Is there ever a point where you just want to put your feet up and think, I'm done?
There's a point where I'd like to stick a nice warm barrel of a gun in my mouth and blow my fucking brains out, if that's what you mean. But I don't have the guts. So I keep going. As Biggie Smalls said, it's all a dream. It's all bullshit. So I may as well keep doing this.
So what does make you happy?
Right?
What makes you happy? Because a few times on this interview you've said, you hate stuff and you want to blow your brains out. What is the thing that makes you want to get up in the morning?
I would say that movies is one thing, and I suppose some form of sex would be another thing. And I guess sex and movies would be the two things that make sense to me. A good pizza every once in a while.
Yeah.
I like drugs. I like drugs and booze, but I'd be happy to look at movies and eat pizza and then have drugs and booze. That would be secondary, but I definitely enjoy all that together.
Isn't that the rock and roll complete combo?
Yeah, except I'm not a rock and roll person. I'm a totally bourgeois. I have totally bad materialistic values and narcissistic tendencies. But I love Essex Space Spin. And, I think it's a wonderful film, and I hope that some important British critic, the guy for The Guardian, he was the most mainstream critic, but he at least understood the Troma movies. He was very good. Derek Malcolm. Do you ever hear of him?
I've heard the name, yeah.
He's probably dead, but and certainly if there was a champion who could take Essex Space Spin under his or her or its wing, it would be a wonderful thing for humanity and for the world of art.
It's changed now. There's a lot of smaller companies and smaller movie sites, Den of Geek, people like that. That's what people respect. People have got time for.
That's great. That's terrific. Yeah, that's very important.
People don't give a shit now about the 5-star rating on the side of a bus from Heat magazine. No one cares.
That's good to know. That's very good.
So tell me about the future then. You've talked about your past, you've talked about Essex Space Spin. What are you going to be doing for the next 5 years? How do you see it panning out?
Well, I don't see anything panning out, but we just finished Volume 2, Return to Newcomb High, which is the exciting conclusion to our event film, Return to Newcomb High. You saw the first half, and I'm sure you're anxious to see how it all ends up. And Michael Hers himself has said that Return to Newcomb High, that this is the best film that we have ever made. Well, that's very meaningful because he's a very low-key kind of person when it comes to extolling our own movies. So we're very excited about that. One of the sidebars of the Cannes Film Festival seems to be interested in selecting Return to Newcomb High, a.k.a. Volume 2. The first half was premiered at the Museum of Modern Art, which is our equivalent of the Tate Modern. Volume 2 is, we have to distribute that and get it out into the theaters, and hopefully some theaters will be interested in Essex Space Spin as well as Return to Newcomb High. And then the next film is The Tempest, very important. By the way, to commemorate our 40th year, and to thank our fans, we have a channel on YouTube called Troma Movies. This is very important, Mark. Troma Movies is a channel on YouTube that's all free. We have about 300 feature-length Troma classics that are free, and also many short films and my Make Your Own Damn Movie lessons and interviews with Trey Parker and Matt Stone and James Gunn and Eli Roth and Samuel Jackson and all the greats. It's all free on Troma Movies on YouTube, and Essex Spaceman can be seen on our subscription service, which is called Troma Now. You can Troma Now. You can go to watch.troma.com, and you can see every month world premiere movies like The Thingy, Diary of a Teenage Placenta, or Hunky Holocaust, or BC Butcher, a female cave woman movie. Wonderful world premiere movies on Troma Now, and plus every month at least 10 movies that come from the Troma collection that I personally curate, and various other world premiere short pieces, short films that are world premiered on Troma Now, and it's very inexpensive, and first month is free, so if you go there you can probably watch a lot during the first month and not have to pay for anything. Troma Now. So
that's cool, yeah, very cool. That's the way that it's going, isn't it, really, now? It's all YouTube and streaming and Netflix and Amazon Prime, so that's great for fans to be able to go on there and get a whole back catalogue of titles.
Well, Troma Movies, they can get it for free on Troma Movies. They can have hours and hours and hours of wonderful entertainment on Troma Movies. And then if they want to support new independent movies as well as Troma for about £3 a month, they can join Troma Now, and it's a wonderful community, and people have met on it. People have gotten people have managed to get fucked on thanks to Troma Now. And have also met a very interesting film community.
So we're going to see Troma some for £3. You might end up with a Troma baby.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the first month is free, so you'll see some great movies. Terrific. Well, good luck.
Take care. So much. Thank you for everything. See you soon.
Bye, Mark.
Take care.
Bye. Thank you.
So there it is, the interview with the man behind Troma Films, Lloyd Kaufman, the president himself. So thank you very much to Lloyd for taking the time to talk to me. It was an absolute pleasure to speak with you. I really hope you guys at home have enjoyed this interview. It's a very random one and some of the most craziest answers I've got, but this is why I love doing Mark and Me and getting to speak to all these different people. Who would have thought that I went from Kevin Smith to Corey Feldman to Big Bird to Lloyd Kaufman? It really is a big variety, and that's what I want to do with Mark and Me. Get as many people spoken to and as much content as I can for you guys out there. Now on the next episode I've got the man himself, Anthony Hopkins. That episode's going to be online in the next few days, and I really hope you enjoy it because it was an absolute pleasure to speak with him. Also, I keep seeing a lot of tweets and Facebook comments. Please keep them coming. It lets me know that you enjoy the content. It makes me realise that you enjoy the stuff I do. So it's really important. So go on markandme.com, see the links there for Twitter and for Facebook, and let me know you're enjoying this show. I've got some fantastic guests coming up on the next few episodes of Mark and Me, and I really do plan to get as much content out there for you as possible. So please stay tuned. The best way to reach me is on markandme.com, and I really look forward to speaking with you all again in the next few weeks. Take care, and I'll speak to you then.
Appetite for nightly Try